So welcome to this particular video course. In this video, we're going to be making a pattern of a waist cincher cupped corset. So the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to mark out our basic lines. So we're going to mark out our basic lines. So let me just start out with the neckline. You have your basic body measurements, just basic body measurements for blouses. So you start with your neckline 1 inch below the neckline for the upper part. The next one is shoulder line 1 inch below. Then you have the chest line. I'm using 6 inches as my chest line. Armhole line, I'm using high waist divided by 2. That's 8.5 inches because the high waist position is 17. So we're using a full length of 23. Then we'll now add hem allowance of 1/2 inch. Then we'll be using a bust position of 10, under bust position of 14.5 inches. So sorry, bust position of 10.5 I mean, then under bust of 14.5 inches. So we have 1, 6, 8.5, 10.5, 14.5, 17, 23 and 23.5. So I just had to mark all of these so that I don't have to keep going back and forth into my measurements book. So you do the same markings in the middle, then you do the same markings at the end. 10.5 and 14.5. You do 17, you do 23 and you do 23.5. So I'm just going to go ahead to go to the end and do it. 1, 6, 8.5, 10.5, 14.5, 17 and 23.5. So we just go ahead to use the metal rule to connect all the lines together. So for you to be making this corset, by then you already know how to make a basic bodice pattern, like a simple blouse pattern. So in this particular corset, I actually marked the front waistline same way I marked the back waistline. So I'm going to alter it because it was done in error. Because if the front waistline is 17, we're going to minus 2 inches from that of the back, so that you're going to mark it at position 15. So instead of you having a waistline of 17 in front and at the back, you're going to have a waistline of 15 at the back, and you're going to have a waistline of 15 at the back. That's 2 inches shorter than that of the front. Then every other thing is just going to be the same thing. So what it simply means now for the back is that the back is going to be 2 inches shorter than the front. So if the front length is 23, the back length is going to be 21 inches. So that's 2 inches shorter, since you have altered the high waist position of the back. So this is the real back. Then of course this is going to be the hem allowance. The hem allowance is going to be 1/2 inch below the full length of the back. Of course I'll cancel out this one because we don't need it. So these are the basic lines. I just need you to just mark these lines, go through them, then let's get started in drafting our patterns. So for the front neck width, I'm just going to use 2.5 inches. Usually when I make this kind of cupped corsets, I always prefer to make it as an illusion when I'm teaching, so that you can be able to make an illusion cupped corset comfortably without someone actually having to start directing you on how to cut out nets and add nets when you're done and all of that. It's usually no fun for me though. So I'm making a neck width of 2.5, neck depth of 5 inches. You can actually alter yours depending on the illusion inspiration that you want to have. So I'm going to make with a shoulder of 14 inches. So I've already marked my 7 inches. That's half of the 14 inches. So I'm going to connect it with a metal rule. Please pay close attention to this. We're going to use shoulder darting technique. Yes, this is the technique that we use. So for this shoulder darting technique, we're going to add like 16 centimeters to the shoulder. So this extension, now you're extending it by an extra 16 centimeters. So I'm going to call here A, I'll call here B. So let's call here A and let's call here B. So you're going to find the midpoint of A and you're also going to find the midpoint of B. Find the midpoint of A and B. So it's just about 5.5 inches. So this is the midpoint. So we're also going to mark out our nipple to nipple position. The nipple to nipple position is 7 inches. So 7 divided by 2, you have 3.5 inches. You have 3.5 inches. And of course, you have 3.5 inches. So you connect it with a metal rule. I just had to connect it. I didn't really want to get to the chest. I just stopped a little above the bust position. So now what I'm going to do is that I am going to connect it to that midpoint. So I'm going to connect. So from the bust point, you just go up by 1.5 inches. Go up by 1.5 inches. Connect it. Then I'll just we added extra 16. So we're going to share it into two. 8 cm to the left and then 8 cm to the right. 8 8. So I have 8 8. So we're going to share it and we now connect it with a metal rule. Connect and then we connect. Okay, so now we'll share the dart. We'll have 8 centimeters, 8 centimeters. A dart is usually always a triangle. So we now have this. So I'm just going to shade it out so that you know that we will cut it out eventually. It's not part of our measurement. So on the chest line, we're supposed to measure and mark shoulder divided by 2 minus 0.5. So I'm going to start from here, from the center front, get to the beginning of the dart, jump and pass the dart because it's no longer part of our measurement. We had 7 on our shoulder, so we're subtracting half. So that's a 6.5 now. So you just go ahead to connect this one to this one and you drag a straight line all the way down, and that is how we do this particular one. So the next thing we're going to do is to mark the round bust divided by 4 on the bust area. So round bust divided by 4 gave us 9. The 9 rhymed inside, but we're not going to go inside because we're going to end up distorting the pattern. So we just go ahead to drag this line, this straight line down to the bust point. So this is the bust position. So after we drag it, so get to the full length position. Getting to the full length position, we're going to mark round hip divided by 4. And we can add an extra 1 inch if we want to just have an extra flare effect. But for now, I'll just stick to having round hip divided by 4, which is 10 inches. So 10 inches is our round hip divided by 4. So you just go ahead to connect it. Okay. So let me just go back to the back piece. So it is shapeless at this point. We're not marking our darts for now. So we'll just go back to the back piece. So for the back piece, we're just going to put like a fake zip allowance. We're not going to use zip allowance for anything, except if we want to have a button that enters zip allowance. But for now, we're not really going to use it for anything in particular. So we just go ahead to connect it. So from the center back now, we're going to now measure 3 inches. You know, in the front neck width, I use 2.5 inches. So the neck width we use at the back is 3 inches. We use 3 inches so that the front will be sufficiently tight without having gaping and sagging. Let me just do this kind of neck depth and all that. So the shoulder, we're going to have a shoulder measurement. We're going to have a shoulder measurement of 7 inches. That's shoulder divided by 2. That's 14 divided by 2 to give us 7. We also mark the same 7 inches on the chest line. On the armhole line, we'll mark the 7, we'll mark the 9. So on the bust position, we're going to mark 9. So at the full length position, we're going to mark round hip divided by 4. And now we're going to take our ruler to mark it. Please Don't say you don't understand this video if you have not practiced it. I want you to follow me step by step. You will have a headache if you watch till the end and you're expecting to understand it without practicing. You will have a very serious headache. So just gradually follow it step by step. If this is all you can do in day one, please just do only this one and just leave it gradually. Then you press play again on the video and continue. Please, I'm saying this because we're about to enter another phase of our corset making. At EREX, we use a particular method we call waist shaping. So I'm going to run the waist. I'm going to do the waist shaping. So I'm going to start from the center front of the waistline of the front waistline. So from here now, let me call here C, let me call here D, let me call here E, and let me call here F. Okay, so the first step in round high waist shaping is to divide round high waist by 2. I'm not subtracting anything. This particular method is called the waist cincher method, but we're not subtracting anything at all from the round high waist. So the round high waist is 30, and we said the first step in high waist shaping is to divide by 2. So we'll just mark 30 divided by 2, and we're going to have 15. Let us look for 15. Okay, so we'll start measuring. Let's find 15. You hold your tape from wherever it stops. So you start marking, you measure and mark until you get 15. So let me call here G. Okay, so now that I'm calling the G, from G to F, just measure from G to F. Measure it in centimeters now because we share our data in centimeters. So I'm having 11 cm excess. So your excess in cm is equal to 11 centimeters. So our excess now is a total of 11 centimeters. So let me just give you a small range for different bust sizes. So you have your bust size. Let's say someone has a bust size of 32 to 34. The person will get to use for 32 you have to use 2 cm to 2.5 cm left and right. So this is your dart, under bust and high waist dart. So if a person has a bust measurement of 34 to 36, we're going to use 2.5 to 3 cm. So if a person has a bust dart of 36 to 38, we're going to use 3 cm to 3.5. So if the person has a bust dart of 38 to 40, person is going to use 3.5 cm to 4 cm. If the person has from 40 and above, we're going to use 4 cm to maximum of 4.5. That's, you use 4.5 when the person has a very, very, very big breast. Okay, so let's get back to our pattern. So I want to share the front dart pattern. So our method is totally different from any other method you could have seen anywhere. I'm not saying it's the best, but this is the method we use to achieve the results that you see. So you can just take your time, study this, understand it, and practice it. Don't close your mind, please. So when we get to the high waist position, I'm going to use 3 centimeters because we're making for a bust, for someone that has a bust of 36. So I'm going to use 3 centimeters to the left and 3 centimeters to the right. So we're going to mark 3 cm to the left and 3 cm to the right on the high waist position. Okay, so you mark it. When you mark it, you connect it to the under bust. That's the under bust position of 14.5 centimeters. So you connect. So when you connect it, you now drag it down to the hemline. This one you've connected, now you drag it down to the hemline. Now let me show you something. Now that we have dragged it down to the hemline, you can see that you have taken away 3 centimeters, 3 centimeters. I don't just want to pay for the 6 centimeters that crossed. You know, this is round hip divided by 4, more like where the corset will end. I don't just want to leave this 3 cm, 3 cm at this point, like pay for the whole 6 cm here. I want to pay in front and I want to pay for the shortage also at the back. So I'll pay for the first 3 centimeters in front. So I'll add plus 3 cm at the back. So I'll just mark it. I'm not connecting it yet because I'm not done with the waist shaping. Okay, so I just marked it out so that you can have it in mind that we're not done. So I've marked the dart for the front. I'll go and mark the dart for the back. So you take from the front, you take from the back. So out of that 11 centimeters, it's just like you finish making your dress and you see that the dress is loose. The excess you're having on the dress is 11 centimeters, and now you're saddled with the responsibility of sharing it to the front and to the back so that the dress will be well fitted. That's just what waist shaping is all about. So I've shared 6, that's 3 total of 6 centimeters. What is remaining? 5 centimeters. But at the back dart, I'm going to use 5 centimeters for the back dart. So let us mark it now. So I'll still use nipple to nipple divided by 2. That's 3.5. I'll just mark it all across. Then I'll mark it at the full length. So I said we are going to share the dart. So we're going to mark that of 2.5 centimeters to the left, 2.5 centimeters to the right. So now that we have marked it, we'll go ahead to connect it to the hemline. We'll connect it to the hemline. Then we connect it to the armhole line. There are 1,000,001 methods of making corsetry, but this is a method, one of the methods that we use. I'll probably teach another method in the course of this program, but please just practice it one after the other. So you had 11 centimeter excess. Okay, so now you have shared 6 to the front and you have shared a total of 5 cm to the back. How many have you used? You have used 11 centimeters. So there's probably nothing that we're going to take away from the side. For now, we're not going to take away anything from the side. So what we will now do is that since we're not taking away anything from the side for now, we'll just go ahead to use a French curve or our bare hand to connect this. That's that payment, the one I said we're paying with. So you can cancel out this one because you don't need it again. Okay, so now we're going to take away we're going to add 3 centimeters also to the back. You had 6 in front, so you paid for the 3 in front, you paid for the 3 at the back. Why didn't you just go ahead to pay for the 6 in front? Because you want the side shape of the front and the side shape of the back to be the same, and that's like the total essence of the whole waist shaping thing. So if you don't get it, it's by the time you're sewing it, it just won't blend, it won't rhyme, it won't come out very well. So now that we have done this, now we're going to go over to under bust shaping. So the first step in under bust shaping is to divide round under bust by 2. So our round under bust is 30, we divide by 2 and then we have 15. So let us start measuring. So let me call this H I. There's not really under bust at the back though, but I can call her J KLN like that. So we could just go ahead and measure it. We're looking for 15, so we will not stop until we find 15. So this is 9.5, this is 9.5, so somewhere around here should be under bust. 14.5, you jump the dart and pass it because the dart is no longer part of your measurement. So we got 15 around this point. So every other thing after it should be about 6 centimeters, so about 5 point something or 6 centimeters. So we'll approximate it to 6 centimeters because we need exactly 6 centimeters for the front. So we're just going to go ahead to take 3 centimeters to the left and then 3 centimeters to the right. So we will use our metal rule to connect it back to that waist shaping. Connect it back, Then go ahead to connect it to the bust position. Connect it to the bust position. You can see the curve is gradually coming out. That's the curve of the bust area. So now that we have connected it to the bust position, the next thing we are going to do is what we call the waist cincher. Guys, this is like the game changer on this corsetry. So okay, let me do the bust that, then we'll now do the waist cincher. So for the from the bust position on the side, from the side of the bust position, you come down by 2 inches. When you come down by 2 inches, you connect it to the bust. This is also a game changer. This helps the cup to cup very well. So this is the bust that, very important. By the time we close it up, you can see that there's a distortion of the lines. So because there's a distortion of the lines, we are going to connect it back, okay, so that we'll not have a distortion. So we can cancel this inner line now. This outer one now is now the good one that we're going to use. So what we will do eventually, so these are bust that, so I've done that. So the next thing now is the waist cincher. Let me start from the back. Let's do the waist cincher for the back first, because that of the front is it requires some small special attention. So I'm just going to measure the distance between E and G. So roughly 5. Okay, it's not exactly up to 5. Maybe I could just do 2.6. I just need to find the midpoint really. So I'll find the midpoint and mark a line up to the hemline. So you know I didn't complete this hemline then, so I'll just go ahead to complete the hemline now. So next thing we're going to do is that we're going to shear 1 inch, just half inch to the left and then half inch to the right, half inch, and then we go ahead to, so after marking the half inch to the left and to the right, we just go ahead to connect it. So you are adapting it inside. Remember, in this particular corset pattern, I did not take away anything from the high waist. I didn't reduce the waist, nothing. Like, it's the waist cincher that will do that work for you. Is this waist cincher? This is the waist cincher. This is the game changer for this corset. It's this game changer that will do the cinching for you. So it's eventually going to reduce 4 inches from the waistline, which is very reasonable considering the fact that you want a corset that someone can actually breathe. So we don't remove anything at all. You don't want the back to be too wide, you don't want the back to be too open. So I'm also going to find the midpoint of this and this. So I'll just mark it. So this is 5 inches, midpoint 2.5. So I'll just drag my line, drag it up. I'm not going to dart the upper part for now. You find out why eventually when I'm done sharing what I need to share. So you mark your half inch to the left and half inch to the right. You still go ahead to connect it to the hemline. Connect it to the hemline. So that's of the front. I'm not connecting it yet because I want to draw the cup for the front now. So what have we done so far? We've drafted the pattern for the upper part, we've drafted the pattern, that's pattern for the front, pattern for the back. Very important. So let's just draw up the cup for the front. So so there's something that is very important in this outfit. When you're making this corset, it's important that you take the over bust measurements. So the measurements above the bust, like where you don't want the bra to show, you have to take the over bust measurement. I think we talked about that in the measurement session. So I'm going to, for my pattern now, I'm going to add 2 inches to the shoulder. 2 inches is actually the standard that we should add. 2 inches is the standard that we should add. Any other thing that will make us reduce this 2 inches might just be, oh, your net is a little bit stretchy and you want your net to snap tightly. You don't want your net to be loose. So maybe you can now say, okay, let me use 1 inch instead of 2 since my net is stretchy. But 2 inches is the standard, and that 2 inches is because of all this 2 inch reduction and all that we did. So that's basically what we're meant to add to the shoulder. So I'll come down from this neckline now. I'll come down. Let me do it. Let me make 10 inches. Let me make it 10 inches. Then I'll go in by ½ inch. I'll go in by ½ inch and dot it. I'm dotting it to the under bust. So from this under bust now, we will slant 3.5 centimeters, 3.5 centimeters, not inches, centimeters. I had to use 10. This is just a basic pattern, okay? It's not overly dramatic and all of that. This is just the basic corset pattern. So I'm going to use a different color of marker to do the connection. So I'm just going to use a different color to connect and then bring it back to this on the bust. So you can see it. So now I'm going to do for the side piece now. So for the side piece, we're going to measure 1.5 inches. That's when you get to the armhole, just measure 1.5 inches. From this armhole, just dot it down, okay? Just dot it down. You're not coming here again, start measuring 1.5, 1. No, just whatever you have here, just drag it down with a dotted line. So on that dotted line area, you just measure 3 centimeters. It's just a guide. You can even do 4 centimeters. It's not bad. 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, it's not bad. But we can just do 3.5 too. We can do 3.5. It would still work. So remember what our rules about marking stuff on where we have darts. So when we have darts, we always have to close up your darts before ever you mark anything there. So you're going to have to close up this particular dart. Close up this particular dart. And when you close up this dart, this is 3 centimeters. When you close it off, you connect, you connect, you connect, you connect. You can actually use a French curve and get the effect here to avoid you having a square look. It doesn't always make sense to have a kind of square look around here. So you can just go ahead, connect, blend it, and open up again so that you can be able to have space to do what you need to do. So my overbust right now, let's say we're working with an overbust of 7 inches. Okay, our overbust is 7 inches, yes, but from underbust to overbust, it's usually not good to exceed 6.5 inches. It's usually not good. Once it exceeds 6.5 inches, the effect of the cup is usually not that fine again. So let me mark from underbust to overbust 6.5 inches. Okay, so what it simply means now is that this is actually our overbust. Our overbust is about 7, somewhere here. Our overbust is about 7. So let me still use this. Let me still use, maybe from here now I'll go up a little bit. Let me still work with 7 though. Let me work with 7. The only thing is that the cup will not be that too fine again because it's not as small as it should be. So but I'll still work with it for modesty's sake so that it will be able to cover. So I'll close up the darts. Remember our rule about working with outfits that have darts. So we just close up the darts. You can now use your marker, connect, touch the point 7. Okay, so you can just connect it here, then connect this one back here. Now we're done. So we said we're making an illusion corset. and this is basically it. So this is your side piece. Okay, let's call this center front, side front one, side front two. Okay, I was saying something about this waist cincher that we should stop it somewhere because we don't know where the cup will get to. So we just cut it here. We cut it here. So that's the waist cincher thing. So your dart will just stop just under the bust area. So we're going to connect. We're going to start labeling. So like I told you, I'm making the very basic, like the most basic three-piece corsets ever. So I'm just going to take my time. This is going to be my yoke. This area is going to be my yoke. So just like basic illusion necklines, I'm going to extend this line, this black line now. I'll extend it. We'll cut off this area. So the black line, I'll extend it and then I'll confirm that the measurement rhymes with my shoulder measurement and then I'll connect it. So when you close here, it's going to be permanently closed because it's going to be an illusion neckline three-piece corset. So when you measure it, you just see that you have 7 inches, which is half of our shoulder. Then you connect it. After connecting it, you blend it back to the original chest line. Just blend it back and that is it. So of course you cancel out this line. You don't need this line for anything. So this is actually why you're paying back with 2 inches on the shoulder, because there's going to be a cutout, thereby eliminating 2 inches from the shoulder. So that's actually the main reason why we're paying 2 inches on that shoulder. So everywhere that you're going to have a cut and join, you're going to take your time to label plus 0 0.5, 0 0.5, 0 0.5. So this is your net stroke yoke. Okay, so that's the yoke. 0 0.5 above, 0 0.5 below, 0 0.5, 0 0.5, 0 0.5, 0 0.5. So since it's a three-piece corset, what it means is that I'll just split this into 3 pieces. So while closing up here, I'll just mark out 2 inches, mark 2 inches. I'll close up here permanently, come down, just keep coming down to mark 2 inches. 2 inches is not really fixed, it's just something I want to use for this particular size. Okay, this particular size. So you just mark 0 0.5, 0 0.5 above, 0 0.5 below. Anyway, you have a cut and join at all, you must have to add that 0 0.5. So you take your time because the labeling takes time. So you have to take your time to add the 0 0.5. So So this is what you're going to do. You just label everything so you can see it zoomed in. You just go around, add the 0 0.5 to everywhere that you're actually going to add sewing allowance. Like everywhere you're going to join it, you mark out and label the 0 0.5. So I always have to put arrows so that you can know the part of the curve that is pointing upwards, because look, by the time you cut out this pattern, you would actually get confused just merely looking at them. So your arrows are a must have. You must put your arrows pointing upwards, telling you that this part should face the upper part. So I always label CF for center front side and then SF for side front, both for the upper part of the cup piece and then the lower part. I always do this so that I don't get confused on which one should be in center and which one should be at the back. So around the cup and within the cup, you're going to label 0 0.5 inches, and you can look and see that at a glance everything is practically ready. But then the panels in the middle, we're going to label the panels and add plus 1 inch, plus 1 inch, plus 1 inch all the way down. So we're adding plus 1 inch majorly because we're going to be sewing boning channels on this. And after sewing the boning channels and inserting our bone, we're going to trim off the excess. You don't need 1 inch sewing allowance, but you're going to add it as a standard just to help you with the boning channels. So we're going to add our sewing allowance starting from our armhole line. Then we'll connect it back to the chest line with a curve, just like we've done so far. So you don't need that excess line that I drew. It's useless actually. So you start adding your sewing allowance on the bust line, starting from that offshoot, that extra you added for blending earlier on. So you just add your sewing allowance of 1 inch all the way down. Then you connect everything. For the high waist to the hip area or to the full length of the corset, you can just go ahead and use your French cuff to connect. Then when you get to the hemline, you go up by 1.5 inch from the hemline and then connect like so. So just to give it a nice curve at the base. So now we go over to the back piece. It's going to be an illusion neckline. The back will have an illusion, the front will have an illusion. So we're going to just mark our line for illusion, like anything you want, any kind of shape at all you want for the illusion, you can just go ahead and mark it. I just did a very simple illusion line. I don't want something too complex. You can make yours a lot more complex. Just use the principles of drafting different necklines to be able to achieve this. If you notice, for the front neckline, we added 0.5 inches as sewing allowance above and below, and that's because if we didn't add it, it would actually be a disaster not to add it, because it's a curve. You can see it's a curved area. That's the area separating the net from the main fabric. At the back, we are not mandated to add it because the net is quite stretchy and you want it to snap fit. So we're not going to add that 0.5 above and 0.5 below. So we're going to go ahead to label the side pieces of the back, side back. So I'm just going to go ahead to add an extra 1 inch just on each of the panels. I'll just add an extra 1 inch to it. Plus one, plus one, plus one. Each of the panels, plus one, plus one, plus one, plus one, plus one. And now we're basically done. So just add sewing allowance of 1 inch to the side. Just mark our 1 inch sewing allowance, 1 inch, 1 inch. So you connect it. You can use your ruler, you can use your French comb. But it's important that this last part will have a curve, okay? So we just go up by 1.5 inches, blend, blend, blend. But we use the waist cincher. It is the waist cincher that will remove 4 inches from your measurement. So at the back, you can draw a style line, like you want to have a V effect at the back. You can just go in by 0.5 inches. I usually don't like doing more than 0.5 inches so that I don't have an opening that is too wide at the back, because having an opening that is too wide gives a very distasteful look, in my own opinion, though. So that's basically it. So you just go ahead to connect it to the hemline. So that's if I want to have a V shape. But if I want to have another kind of shape, wider at the waistline and slimmer at the top, you just change the direction of the style line. Okay, like this now. You just go ahead, go inside on the waistline by ½ inch, connect it to the tip of the top, connect it to the hemline at the base, and now you are done. So that's just basically it. But for now, we're going to just stick to the V thing. So for the neckline with illusion, we're going to just alter it a bit so that I can work with the new style line at the back. Of course, we're going to eliminate our zip allowance. You don't need a zipper in a corset. So we're going to eliminate our zip allowance. Just redraw the style line a bit so that I can redraw the neckline a bit so that I can touch the style line. And yes, so this is basically it. So for now, we're done with the pattern. I hope you've had a good time practicing this. Ask me your questions if you have any. I'm going to see you in the next class. Don't forget to show me your patterns before you ask questions. Oh.